Hey guys, so I'm doing this video because I wanted to take some time out to talk about some of the different Batman cosplays that I have. I might actually kind of branch out and eventually start doing like all of them. Maybe I'll do that actually instead. Yeah, I think I'm going to talk about all of my cosplays instead of just talking about the Batman one. Starting off, when I first started doing a lot of the cosplay stuff, a lot of my early attempts didn't really necessarily look that great. I had a very hard time getting that movie quality or movie accurate style Superman suit or Batman suit. As a matter of fact, Batman was probably one of the hardest for me to get in the early days when I first started doing it. This is back maybe if we're talking about 2013, 2015, 2016, around that time. Basically around that time, I wanted to try to get a movie accurate Superman and Batman suit, which I never thought was going to be possible. I didn't really know much about navigating Instagram and stuff like that. And I'm sure maybe even these suit makers might not have even been around at the time when I was looking. But either way, I digress. But my first attempts, they were just straight up spandex suits. There was not really much detailing or texture to the fabric or anything like that. They were really just puffy paint and urethane emblem that was glued on. They were pretty much homemade suits at that point. The Batman one, I mean, it was never even turned into a suit because I only really had an Under Armour where it had a muscle padding, and I kind of did a glued on bat symbol and just called it a day. My Robin costumes actually probably were the more interesting ones. I had a former friend actually who was working on a series called Gotham, I think it was Gotham Genesis. And it was supposed to be a series based around the idea that all of Batman's sidekicks have kind of separated and parted ways, and Batman and the Joker are long since dead. And because of that, it was supposed to be almost kind of a year one style Robin suit. And I wound up doing a lot of experimental stuff with it where I used puffy paint, but the puffy paint that I used, it was kind of I laid it over the fabric. Then I made the t-shirt tighter, and I stitched it very, very makeshift. Everything was very makeshift back then. And pretty much what winds up happening is that the shirt was very hard to move around in, but it was very durable, and it was very it was hard. And the thing was that it made it where it was if somebody actually hit you or did something like that when we were practicing for fight scenes and stuff like that, it made it where it limited my movement. So we were trying to climb and do certain things, and it made it a little bit harder to do that. But the other trade-off was that when we were doing the fight scenes, it actually kind of had that hard armor texture to it. So it was pretty cool. A lot of the photos featured from that time were pretty much just that Robin t-shirt with the puffy paint glazed over it, and a black leather jacket with a hoodie, and it was supposed to be this very makeshift Robin is just starting out again Robin suit. Wasn't really much to it beyond that, but either way, I wound up moving on and decided that I was going to do other things. So I wanted to do a Batsuit eventually, and the cowl that I had wasn't really a great cowl. A lot of the early stuff that I did was not great stuff. I don't even think I have photos of a lot of that stuff back in the day. I definitely don't have a lot of photos of them. I probably have maybe one or two, if anything. But either way, I then heard about the BvS suits, and I started hearing more about other cosplayers and suit makers, and part of me really wanted to pursue doing this Batman costume. So I started 3D printing. I bought the armor print files off of Etsy, and I had a printer 3D print guy that actually was relatively local, so it kind of worked out in my favor that I was able to print out everything that I needed to print out. I don't even know if the guy actually is still doing 3D prints or anything like that, but either way, they, like, what I did was I printed them out little by little. I tried to build most of the armor in that sense, which that Arkham Origins cosplay, which I've posted maybe 3 or 4 photos of it. There aren't a lot of pictures of it because it's a nightmare to wear. I mean, it's really one of the most difficult cosplays that I have. Like, it's not because it's hot or because it's stuffy or because of this, because all of the Batman cosplays are kind of uncomfortable in one way or another. But in this cosplay, it's like you got the armor sliding off in certain places, you got certain things. I think a large part of it is because I never really velcroed it down well enough, and truth be told, the armor was a little bit bigger than what I expected it to be. It wasn't like tailor-made to my size or anything like that. There were certain components to it that I bought that were urethane, and they were like, molded and given to me by, I'm trying to remember what his name was. It was Gauntlet Effects, who I will also link in the description. He did a amazing job with the cowl. He did an amazing job with the thigh guards. The problem was, at the time, I didn't know that he could paint them. So the thing is that they're gray in the photos, but in all actuality, they're actually not gray. They were black when I received them. And the funny thing about it is that I have to edit the hell out of most of this suit. I tried to do urethane molding and everything with, like, I tried to do all types of stuff where I was doing like rubber casting for the abs is really the correct term. I was trying to do a lot of that stuff for the abs and for the rib armor and for everything else, and it didn't really work out. I actually spent a lot of money doing a lot of trial and error stuff, and it just did not work out. Mainly because I couldn't paint it after the fact, and things were just not really turning out the way that I wanted to. Simultaneously, at the same time, I was also working on my first Batman vs. Superman Dawn of Justice cosplay, which I pieced together from a Joe Toys Batsuit, which I have given to a friend since then, and I had like this cosplay cape that wasn't even a Batman cape. It was just a cape that I found on Amazon, and the belt was from the 3D prints that I did early on, along with the gauntlets, and the gloves were something that I found on Amazon, and the cowl was an eBay cowl. I don't even remember the maker's name. I wish I did, but I don't even know if he still sells cowls, actually, because it was so long ago. But simultaneously, while that was going on, I was also working on the Arkham Origins cosplay, and ultimately I spent an embarrassing amount of money for a suit that essentially I couldn't even wear. And that's why at that point I wound up stopping trying to do the rubber casting and everything that I was trying to do, and instead I bought an EVA foam version of it and just kind of tried to edit around that and do other things. Now, the color matching never really matched. It never worked. I kind of always had to heavily edit those Batman photos, which is why it looks the way that it does, where it looks decent. It's mainly because of the fact that I had to do extensive editing. The armor sometimes would overlay over the belt, and it was... Honestly, it was one of the most annoying cosplays that I've done so far. I do want to go back and I do want to redo it, but I think that if I was going to redo it, I think I'm going to probably try to go back to Gauntlet Effects and maybe try to redo the rib, chest, and all the other armor, and maybe keep certain components of the original. But either way, moving on to Joe Toys. Their suit was not a bad suit. The problem was that they used upholstery foam, I think, or maybe they used like some kind of fluff foam or whatever the case is, where it just felt like the muscles weren't really that detailed. They didn't really feel that great. They it was still like a good, cheaper alternative. I will say that much. I am going to actually do a video review on that, so I don't want to talk too long in the review aspect of that. But either way, I wound up doing that and piecing that together, but I didn't feel like it was really effective. When I was walking around on Halloween, I had pieces of the belt falling off. I had the gauntlets were kind of like sliding around, and things were just not really going as well as I wanted them to. So I wound up deciding I'm going to shop around for a actual full Batman vs. Superman cosplay, which I did find one through Ninko Creations, which is a phenomenal batsuit. I've done a review on it. It's definitely one of my favorite batsuits next to a lot of the Rob's workshop ones, which I've also got 2 of those. And I mean, his cowl, the only thing I will say is the cowl was very, very large, and it still is something that I'm trying to look towards replacing eventually. But as far as the muscle detailing, it was phenomenal. You could see the striations of, I think that's the proper term, of the shoulders and the arms and the biceps and the abs and everything, like the thighs. There is so much detailing, and the 3D printing of the fabric, like that 3D texture of the fabric I meant. It's just overall an amazing cosplay, and I think it really set the bar high. So by the time that I started doing other cosplays, like I did the Justice League Batsuit, which I did that one initially because Rob had it ready to go, ready to ship. And I mean, it was perfectly tailor-made to my size, even though it wasn't made for me. It was actually still fit very, very well. And ultimately, I wound up still getting armor pieces. So I got like the cowl, the gauntlets, the boots, and I think like the hand wraps and the gloves. They were all from Ninko still, and the rest of it, where I ordered the belt, but I replaced the BvS belt with the Flash belt. And I think it was a nice upgrade to the Justice League suit, which I was really, really excited to see. And the one thing I do want to say when it comes to the cowl, and it's not really a criticism on the cowl, it's more, I guess, just preference at this point. I think because my eyes are shown so much, I think that the face is cut out a certain type of way, I don't think that it makes me look as much like Ben Affleck as the other 2 cowls, where, okay, these look like they're, like, you know, straight from the movie, they look like Batman. And I do feel like with the Justice League one, it kind of doesn't really capture what I wanted it to capture. So they're like, you know, like I said before, that's more preference. That's not a criticism on Ninko. I really do love their work. They did an amazing job with the gauntlets. They did an amazing job with everything that I have. And I definitely really will be doing business with them and with Rob Workshop again. As a matter of fact, I'm working on finalizing everything with the Rob's Workshop for a Nightwing suit, which hopefully that should be unveiled before Halloween. And when it comes to Ninko, I know he said that he was working on and developing a Batman Arkham 7.43 version of the Batsuit. That's for the people who probably don't know which version of that, because there are so many different versions of the Batsuit in the Arkham series. That's basically the first Batsuit that you see in the video game prior to you getting the upgraded Arkham Knight suit, where it's like all kind of, I guess everybody always used to say it was like Iron Man looking. But either way, I mean, going into that, then I bought, like, you know, the BvS suit, because after a certain point I lost a little bit of weight, and the Ninko Batsuit, the thighs were thicker than what my body type was now. So I wanted something that actually kind of was a little bit different. I wanted something that was a little bit cooler as far as temperature wise went. And after dealing with the Justice League suit compared to the Ninko suit, it wasn't nearly as hot temperature wise. So what I decided was, I was like, you know what, I'm going to try another Robert's Workshop Batsuit, which was still, it's great. I think that the the temperature, the texture, everything about it is really, really good. I'll say that there are things about both Batsuits, even though they're two different makers. Love both of them, actually, like, equally. It's very hard sometimes to even decide which one I want to take, and do photo shoots with. Usually the deciding factor is whether or not it's too cold or whether or not it's too hot. But either way, I mean, I have a lot of fun doing it, and I tried to revamp, actually, the Arkham Origins one, because for a while, I only had, like, one photo of it, and, whew, man, that Arkham Origins cosplay has been exceedingly difficult. Overall, I mean, most of the time I do love doing the BvS stuff over the Justice League stuff, even though the Justice League is probably the most comfortable suit to wear as far as sizing goes. I do feel like out of the other two, one is a little too large and the other one is, just not really. I think it's the torso is a little bit shorter than what I'm typically accustomed to, and the cowl sits a little bit lower. But when it comes to the Justice League, it fits like a glove, and it's very, very perfect and accurate in that way. But with that being said, I think that all of these Batsuits, with the exception of Arkham Origins, which I really do want to upgrade it because I really love that suit so much, and I just always loved the design of it, and I thought that it was really, really incredible the way that WB Games Montreal did the Arkham, they kind of made an earlier version of it, but somehow still managed to make it cool. What I also did was, instead of using the gray circular shoulder armor, I swapped it out with the Arkham Knight armor, and all of that stuff I painted myself. So for the most part, it's I added a little bit of weathering by dry brushing it and doing all types of other stuff. And with that being said, though, I'm going to bring this video to an end. I hope you guys enjoyed. This wasn't really, supposed to be a video talking about how to do a lot of this stuff. I guess a large part of it is because more often than not, I get messages on, Instagram or on YouTube or on other platforms where they say, people will say, oh, your cosplay is amazing. I hope one day I can get there. I'll be honest with you, I never thought I would have multiple Batsuits, let alone have Batsuits that look as movie accurate as they are. It is really just to, I guess, let other cosplayers know there is a possibility that you can get it and that you can actually also cosplay in the same capacity. I don't think every cosplayer necessarily needs to do it that way, and that's not really where I'm going with it, but I do know that certain cosplayers aspire to get these movie accurate cosplays, and sometimes they might think that it's unobtainable, and I'm here to say that it definitely is. My first versions of my cosplays were really kind of almost borderline laughable, and I definitely do think that they look a lot better now than they did then, but you always got to start somewhere, and I think that that's the most important thing about this video, is to show that there is a place to start from. But either way, with that being said, I'm going to bring this video to an end. I hope you guys enjoyed. Like, comment, subscribe, and hit that bell if you want to make sure that you never miss out on any of the content that I'm uploading. And peace.